Let's make history. I have to preface this by saying that I don't condone violence. I prefer non-violent methods. However, there's always an exception to the rule. And sometimes, unfortunately, in life, you have to use violence to bring about peace. The same way that Israel has a right to defend themselves against Hamas, which they do have that right, and Ukraine has that right to fight back against Russia for invading their land. So you would agree then that Puerto Ricans in the 18 and 1900s did have the right to use physical aggression to bring about justice. Puerto Rican women were sterilized without their consent. Innocent activists were killed. The only spokespeople the people of the island had were killed and shot at and imprisoned. So again, though I don't condone some of these methods, we can see how there was a need to take things to the next level. I feel the same way about socialism. I do not support socialism. However, we can't deny the fact that many people who have gave immense sacrifices for the greater good of the larger community, they have to get honor and respect for that. I don't agree with everything they did, such as choosing socialism, but certain people still need to be honored, and we see how at certain points of time something had to be done. Same thing with the Black Panthers. They were socialists, but who's going to deny that they got major things done? They tackled major issues and made major accomplishments. Same thing with the Young Lords. So this story is about someone who sacrificed themselves using extreme methods, and his name is Oscar Lopez Rivera. Once upon a time in San Sebastian, Puerto Rico, which is not far off the West Coast, there was a young boy who was born on 6 January in 1943. By the time he turned 14, he and his family moved to Chicago in the United States. 4 years later, when he was 18, he was drafted into the Vietnam War, where he won a bronze medal. When he came back home to Chicago, he was saddened by the condition that his people were in. So he started to get involved in activism and advocacy for impoverished Puerto Ricans, those that came home from prison, and drug addicts, helping them to secure basic human services. It was in the 60s. And when the 70s rolled around, he took it a step further and got involved in the Puerto Rican independence movement. Now, this movement had been going on for over 100 years, and he joined an organization called the FALN. It's basically an acronym, but in Spanish, meaning the Armed Forces for National Liberty, Las Fuerzas Armadas Liberación Nacional, FALN. And they had already been being watched and accused for dozens and dozens of bombings, not just in Chicago and the Illinois area, but also in New York City and other places. In 1980, 11 FALN members were arrested by a new task force that was focusing on terrorism in the United States. So one of those 11 FALN members was, in fact, an informant and said that Oscar Lopez Rivera had showed him how to make bombs, had showed him how to make silencers, and told him that they had plans for many other bombings in the near future. Oscar was apprehended in 1981, and he was sentenced to 55 years in prison. In the process of him doing that time, he got caught trying to escape Leavenworth prison and was hit with another 15 years on top of the 55. In 1999, President Bill Clinton was going to pardon him But he refused the pardon because he wasn't including all FALN members. The balls on that guy. I mean, wow. Who does that? He refused his pardon and put himself on the line for his people, for the other party members, the other FALN members. And again, I don't agree or condone violence, but just to acknowledge that level of sacrifices, I mean, it's out of this world. Then finally, in 2017, he was officially pardoned by President Obama. And some of you may remember that there was this big deal where they were deciding, was he going to be honored at that next Puerto Rican Day parade, which today was the parade, by the way. Shout out to all my Ricans out there. But of course, they decided, no, they weren't going to honor him. So he attended anyway, but I feel like if it was today, he probably would have been honored. And Oscar Lopez Rivera is still alive to this very day.